Hello, my name is Wayne Robinson, and I am the truthful timeshare expert. Why do I call myself that? Because I will tell you the truth. I was in the timeshare industry for about 15 years. I worked all over North America, Canada, United States, Mexico, and the Caribbean Islands. I know the timeshare industry in and out. I even wrote a book called Everything About Timeshares. This tells you everything you need to know about the timeshare industry. Everything, both in the United States and in Mexico and the Caribbean Islands. And if you want to keep your timeshare, it talks about that. If you want to get rid of your timeshare, it gives you all the options. If you want to understand the difference between timeshare and vacation clubs, it'll tell you that. Everything that you need to know about timeshare is in this book. What I'm going to talk about in this video is attending a timeshare presentation and in being invited to a timeshare presentation once you step off the plane in Mexico. It's either going to be in Cancun, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, or Cabo San Lucas. Those are the major tourist cities for Mexico and foreigners coming into Mexico from the United States, from Canada, and from Europe. When you get off the plane, after you go through customs and immigrations, there's going to be a plethora of people who are going to try to get your attention. A lot of them will call themselves taxi drivers. They'll call themselves transportation experts. They'll call themselves tour excursions, but they're primarily timeshare marketing agents. They work for the resorts, and their job, the number one job, is to get you on a timeshare presentation. They will do and say anything they can to get you on a presentation, because once they book you and you show up, they get paid. So their job is to get you on a timeshare presentation, and they can be very aggressive. So when you get off the plane, they're going to be standing in line, and they're going to be coming after all the passengers that are getting off the plane, and they're going to talk you into a timeshare presentation. And also, they're going to offer you maybe a free taxi ride or free excursion. In some places, they'll offer you cash, especially in Cancun. I have seen them offer as much as $1,000 just to attend a timeshare presentation, but typically it's anywhere from $200 to $300. So beware. I want you to know that these people are timeshare or vacation club representatives. They're marketing representatives, and their job is to get you on a timeshare presentation, regardless as to what it takes. So once you decide to attend a timeshare presentation, you're at the airport. They're going to take a deposit from you, usually it's about $20, and they're going to give you a receipt. They're going to pick you up probably the next day in a taxi, or the agent will pick you up himself or herself. They're going to take you to the resort. They're going to check you in. They're going to ask you some qualifying questions like, do you work, where are you from, what's your age, things like that. Just going to ask you just to make sure that you're qualified to attend a presentation. One of the most important questions I'll ask you, if you're married. If you're by yourself and you're married, they will not give you a presentation. You're not qualified. If you're single male, typically they will not give you a timeshare presentation. They will not book you because that's not their target market. Their target market are females and couples. Those are the ones who buy. Once you attend the timeshare presentation, you're at the resort, you're filling out a survey, and you're waiting for your sales rep. That person is going to come in, they're going to greet you, introduce themselves, they're going to take you into the timeshare sales presentation room, and they're going to sort of tell you and explain to you what to expect during the timeshare presentation. It's called breaking the pack. They're going to tell you that they're going to ask you to make a decision today, not tomorrow, not to think about it. They're going to ask you to make a decision today, because they know that most people will agree not to buy anything, regardless as to how good the deal sounds. So they have to break that pack. And the way to do that is to inform you that you don't have to buy anything today, but at the end of the presentation, you tell me yes or you tell me no. And that's the greeting, that's the warm-up, and that's the introduction, the beginning of your timeshare presentation. There's a series of steps that the timeshare sales reps have to go through in order to make a sale. These steps are typically something that comes down from the company. They're going to tell them, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this, you must do this. And they train them on that every single day. They must go through all those steps. So one of the first steps is, once they greet and meet you, they're going to ask you to fill out a survey. It's called a discovery. And that survey is going to ask you everything that they need to know to make a sale. Your name, your address, your occupation, how much you vacation, if you vacation, if you don't vacation, why don't you vacation, which places would you like to visit, which places have you visited in the past that you'd like to maybe visit again. They're going to ask you if you own a timeshare or vacation club. They're going to ask you, is it paid for? Do you still have a balance? And also, what are your maintenance fees? So what they're looking for are the hot buttons. They're looking for a way to sell you. And they're going to take that information and use that to put together a presentation, basically that's according to your desires, according to your what we call hot buttons. And that's how the presentation is going to go, according to the information that you give them. So for instance, if you tell them that you own a timeshare, they're going to be very interested in that, because if you paid for, later on they're going to try to give you an exchange. In other words, exchange your timeshare for the new timeshare, and I'll talk about that in a new video. But they're going to do everything they can to learn how to sell you. That's the purpose of the discovery. Once they fill out the survey, okay, and discovery, they call it, sometimes they'll leave it on the desk. And the reason they'll leave it on the desk or the table is because they want the manager or the closer to see it, so they can determine how they're going to sell you. Typically, they won't take that with them. Sometimes they do, but most often they'll leave it on the table for the manager to look at. They're going to tell you about their program, and their job is to prove or to show you how their program is better than what you're already doing. So one of the primary strategy they use is called a rent versus own. In other words, if you're renting hotel rooms, if you're used to staying in a hotel room, there is a difference between renting a hotel room and owning a suite, and they're going to show you the difference in those different categories in terms of staying in hotels. So the rent versus own, basically they're going to tell you is that it's going to cost you a whole lot more to rent than to own a timeshare. So they're going to take what you're typically paying per night in a hotel, say it's $200 a night. So if you go on vacation for a week, that's $1,400, right? So they're going to take that $1,400 and they're going to ask you, well, how long you plan on vacation? Well, for 30 years. So that's about $50,000, okay? So at the end, they're going to show you how you can have a suite, a beautiful luxury suite on the beach, anywhere in the world, for about $20,000 or $30,000. That sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the pitch. It's called the rent versus own. Now I'm going to tell you the next step in the sales process. So now that you have come from the suite, or the model, they call it, you're back into the sales room. Sometimes it's very noisy. A lot of times they'll have bells ringing, or they'll do what's called a deletion. In other words, they announce that someone has just purchased, and most often no one has purchased. It's just something they do for show to make people feel comfortable to purchase. So you're in the sales room, and they're going to show you the numbers, and they're going to show you a very, very, very high number, and you're going to be thinking, there's no way I'm buying this today. That's way too expensive. So they'll tell you an anytime price, and they'll tell you a today price. Obviously, it looks much different. Anytime price is way up here, the today price is way down here. And they're going to show you how this is still cheaper than what you have been doing over the past 5 years or 10 years or how long you've been vacationing. They're going to ask you if it's something that you'd like to do today. You're probably going to say no, or we're going to think about it, okay? So, if the liner, or front to back, that's the person who's showing you the tour, giving you the tour, can't do it, they're going to bring in the closer. The closer is responsible for getting the sale, for getting the credit card. That's what I did. I did that for about 15 years. My job was to find out why did I want to buy today and what I can do to get them to purchase today, not tomorrow, not next week, not to think about it, but to buy it at this moment right now. Once I show them the price, I do not want to leave the table, typically, because what happens most often is the couple will talk themselves out of it and say, we're not going to do it, okay? Typically, the timeshare agent or the sales closer is going to stay there on the table until they determine what they're going to do. If they still can't make a decision to purchase, or they decide that they don't want to do it, they're going to lower the price. And if that doesn't work, they'll lower the price again, or they'll bring in another closer, okay, and lower the price. And find out, why are these people so reluctant to purchase today? And then I'm going to tell you what happens after that if you still say no. At the end of the 6-hour timeshare presentation, that's supposed to be 90 minutes, they've given up, they've gone as low as they possibly can, and they're going to say, we have a developer's representative who's going to ask you about some questions about your experience here. That is another sales pitch. That person is a salesperson. They're called the exit person. They will get you up, make you feel like you're leaving, take you to another location, possibly to another table in the same room, and they're going to start asking you questions about your experience there. And at the end, they're going to ask you, well, why didn't you buy? Okay? So, if you're interested, but you weren't willing to pull the trigger today, they're going to offer you another option. It's called a travel package, or a sample package, or a sampler. It's usually anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, sometimes more. It gives you an opportunity to try them out and to come back another time, take what you have already invested in that program towards another program. So, the idea is to get you back, and that's the whole purpose of that. Once you say no to that, that's the end of the presentation. You're done. When I talk to people on timeshare, I save people thousands of dollars in fees that they could be charged by exit companies and other organizations that take advantage of people who want to get rid of the timeshare. All I ask is that you support me by subscribing, hitting the notification button, and also purchasing my book, which is on Amazon. All the information is below. I'm one of the hosts on a YouTube program called Timeshare Talk for Consumers. This includes myself, John Raymond, a real estate agent, and Irene Parker, who's a timeshare volunteer advocate.